Well, Police Minister Bheki Cele has dismissed the possibility of links between violent attacks on trucks and the July 2021 riots. But the police concede the attacks are coordinated. The hunt is now on for a dozen people of interest who've been identified. eNCA Senior Reporter Siphamandla Goge is monitoring these developments for us. Sipa, what's the latest you can tell us? Of course, some interesting developments, but do we have some solid leads into who is behind these attacks?
Well, the police will always say they are pursuing those who are believed to be behind these attacks. Of course, based on that press conference by the police minister yesterday, they are following at least 12 persons of interest, and they are of the view that they will soon crack some of these cases that are happening in and around or throughout South Africa. Of the latest information, we are talking about 3 provinces. We are talking about Mpumalanga, KwaZulu-Natal and Limpopo. It's not surprising that where we are located at the moment, behind me you will see there are soldiers, but our view has been blocked by the abnormal truck that has come through here. But you will see there are soldiers that are manning this stretch of the highway. This is the N3. We are located at Marian Hill Toll Plaza, which is a very busy toll plaza. Yesterday we were at Moi Plaza in Moi River, whereby we saw soldiers being deployed there. They are part of a team that is guiding the strategic corridor, the N3, which is used mainly by trucks and other road users. This is very important and strategic in terms of the economy and the movement of goods and services. So following the torching of trucks in Mpumalanga, Limpopo and in KwaZulu-Natal, we have seen the deployment of soldiers in key strategic routes, and one of those is the N3 here in KwaZulu-Natal. Remember, some of the trucks were torched in Van, and then Moi River is always a hotspot. It's regarded as one of the high-risk areas when it comes to the torching of the trucks. During the July unrest, I personally covered more than 27 trucks that were torched there. So it's not surprising that you see soldiers guiding the N3, because it's very strategic in terms of the economy of the country. And remember, there is a deployment that was authorized to guard what is known as national key points and key strategic areas in terms of the economy in the country. This is a matter of national security, and this is a matter that is worrying South Africans to say it's been happening for a very long time. What could be the root causes, and how can it be dealt with once and for all? How far are those investigations? When are arrests expected to happen? And what will it take to successfully prosecute and convict those who are behind the torching of the trucks? Are we dealing with something bigger? Because clearly this is well coordinated and well executed. Who are the people behind it? What is the agenda? But the biggest question is, with the deployment of the soldiers, what are the rules of engagement? What is their brief? What are their orders? How are they going to help? My understanding is they are deployed to assist the police, because obviously this is purely a criminal matter. The police need to lead, and then the police are the ones who should be leading in fighting with what is happening. So soldiers are here to support the police in dealing with this barbaric and very anarchist way of doing things, where you touch the trucks. So the clearly defined mandate of the soldiers needs to be understood. What is their brief? What are the rules of engagement? What are they going to do? For how long? And if this does not happen, are we going to see what became popular during the COVID-19 pandemic as the new normal? Is this the new normal, whereby we see soldiers on the streets or on the highways every day in South Africa? And of course, later on, we will be trying to get more answers from the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Nomusa Dube, about what is happening in this province, which is always affected by the torching of the trucks.
It's always very interesting to see these solutions, short-term solutions rather, and not really focusing on the long-term strategy here. And that's very important for me. And maybe you can also share your view on this, Siphamandla, because you have been covering this for us these last few days. What are the long-term solutions here? Because, of course, these attacks have been happening for the last few years. And as we know by now, it is very coordinated. These attackers, criminals, are very heavily armed as well. So how do we stop this?
Deal decisively with this is to have a well-coordinated approach that includes the freight and transportation industry, the trucking industry in the country. Because if you speak to some of the truck drivers, there are issues within the industry that have got to do with cheap labor, that have got to do with working conditions in the industry, and the employment of truck drivers in South Africa and those who are not from South Africa. Those are the labor issues that need to be sorted out by the industry itself. Now, in terms of the police, they need to ensure that they prevent such attacks from happening, because if I can tell you, and I can bet my last cent, I always say this, few months from now we will be back on the highways of this country reporting about soldiers being deployed because trucks have been torched. It's been happening, and every time trucks are torched, you get this knee-jerk reaction by the law enforcement authorities and the security cluster in South Africa, where they say more police visibility. After a couple of weeks, then they will de-escalate and then they will leave. When they leave, those attacks start. Let me make you an example. Yesterday we covered this in Moy River, and one person there who's a community member said to me, listen, people who do these things are not stupid. They see the soldiers here, they will not touch the trucks, but the minute the soldiers leave, you media people will come back to report about trucks that would have been torched. Because he said to me, the way security personnel or cluster react when there are such incidents is that they will deploy for a very short period of time. After that, they will leave. When they leave, the action starts. And that person said to me, the government and you media people and the police will keep on chasing the shadows, because this is a moving target. The only thing that is required is proper intelligence, proper prevention strategy, as well as harsh action in arresting and prosecuting, eventually convicting those who are responsible for this. But the person who spoke to me yesterday said you need to understand what are the causes, and there is no one cause for what is happening. One, it's pure criminality, but two, there are grievances within the trucking or freight industry itself. Three, there are lapses in the intelligence structures of the country which are unable to pick up these attacks as they are being planned and executed. So the long-term solution is to address all those factors that I've highlighted.
Very important, those three factors that you just mentioned there, Siphamandla Goge, and it is important to address those in order for us to have a long-term solution when it comes to this problem.